Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Israel Brief, brought to you by Lay of the Land and hosted by me, Rolene Marks, where I bring you those top stories making headlines every Monday to Thursday. So let's get into it and let's take a look at our top story and the lawyer of an Israeli woman who has been sentenced to death in the United Arab Emirates after being found in possession of at least 0.5 kilogram of cocaine has appealed to the Israeli government to put the pressure on the Emirati government to lessen her sentence, citing that this has happened before. They cite the case of an Israeli arrested in Russia with marijuana who was in fact released back to Israel. Now, Fida Kiwan from Haifa was invited to work in Dubai by a Palestinian acquaintance when she was found shortly after that to be in possession of the 0.5 kilo of cocaine. Now, Israel's Ministry of Foreign Affairs has responded by saying that they are aware of the case and are working through their consular services and their representatives in the Emirates to see what they can do. Now, Israel has experienced the first case of polio in over 3 decades, which has got quite a lot of parents worried. Now, the Health Ministry, in response to this, has reignited a polio vaccine drive. When children are offered the polio vaccine, which is taken orally, they get 2 doses. Now, this campaign is aimed at children who've either only received 1 dose or no doses at all. Those who have been found to have contracted the virus have been found to have only received 1 or no doses. And it has created shockwaves through the country because polio is something that you don't hear of children contracting. So we're going to follow this story to see how it progresses. Later today, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is scheduled to address the UN Security Council for the first time. It is thought that the Ukrainian president will address the Security Council specifically to ask for new and tougher sanctions on Russia following the absolutely harrowing and distressing images coming in from the town of Bucha, which has seen civilians slaughtered and left in the street or executed and thrown into mass graves. Now, this comes as US President Joe Biden called these images and called the execution of civilians in Bucha a war crime and called Russian President Vladimir Putin a war criminal. The United States and the UK are expected to put the pressure on the UN Human Rights Council to expel Russia. This will go to a vote on Thursday and, according to UN Watch, is expected to pass. Earlier today, Israel's Prime Minister Naftali Bennett condemned what we are calling an absolute atrocity in Bucha. While he did not refer to Russia, he referred specifically to the harrowing images that are absolutely heartbreaking. The Prime Minister also said that we cannot forget Israel's incredible humanitarian aid, including our field hospital in Ukraine, which is something to be proud of. And our final story stays on the diplomatic course, and this time we go to Greece, where our Foreign Minister Yair Lapid is meeting with both the Cypriot and the Greek foreign ministers to look at ways to increase cooperation, both economically and strategically, in the region. Now, earlier today, the Foreign Minister met with his Cypriot counterpart and tweeted about it online. And it's hugely significant because ties between the 3 countries have warmed significantly in the last year or so. In fact, we just completed several military maneuvers that involved Greece and Cypriot military. But this time it's to boost those very, very important economic ties and cooperation, which benefits all of us right here in the region. So those of you who say that Israel is becoming more and more isolated, well, you have to think again. Last week we had the historic summit of regional partners, including Bahrain, the Emirates, Morocco and Egypt and the United States right here in the Negev. And now we see our foreign minister off to other Mediterranean countries to look at ways that we can foster more ties in this region. And that brings me to the end of today's Israel Brief, but don't forget to check us out online on our website at www.layoftheland.online if you want to read more about how foreigners find love in Israel. We've got the perfect article and podcast up for you. It's also up on our Facebook page. While you are there, please give us a like and a follow. You can find us at Lottle's site, and we would love for you to be part of our growing community. If you're watching us on YouTube, on our channel at the Israel Brief, please consider clicking on the red subscribe button so that we can have more exposure of news from Israel out to as many people as possible. And of course, we're on Twitter, where all good twits are, and you can find us there at Lay of the Land 5. Short but sweet today, much like myself, who barely measures in at 5 feet. I'm Rolene Marks. This is the Israel Brief. Thank you for watching. Tune in for your headlines tomorrow.